17 years old when she took her own life. On June 9th, 2018, Ava ran out of her own senior prom, went to the train tracks nearby, and jumped in front of an oncoming train. Why? Because she lost hope. Ava was desperate to end the constant bullying she was facing at school, at Hofstra High School. Desperate to end the bullying that progressed for over a year. Even after Ava reached out to her school to end her horror, they failed her. They failed to seek out her bullies. They failed to give Ava the protection that she needed. They just let her nightmare continue, leaving Ava with just one unimaginable choice. Good afternoon, members of the jury. My name is Stephanie Duarte, and along with my co-counsel, Michael Shostak, we represent the estate of Ava Johnson. You will hear how Ava was harassed at her school for over a year. Including on the day that she died. That was prom night at Hofstra High School. What was supposed to be one of the most magical nights of Ava's life ended tragically on the train tracks at the Hofstra Railroad Station, just blocks away from Hofstra High School. To understand why Ava jumped in front of a train, to understand why she had to end the taunting at prom, we have to understand the relentless bullying that Ava dealt with for over a year at Hofstra High School. Starting her junior year, Ava was having a hard time growing up. She broke up with her boyfriend, she was diagnosed with lupus, an autoimmune disease, and she struggled with depression. Luckily, she was able to treat her depression and her lupus with medications. The medical records will show that her medications were working. However, they caused her to gain a significant amount of weight. That's when the bullying really started. Ladies and gentlemen, listen carefully to the trauma that Ava suffered, especially from the girls in her gym class that bullied her. They bullied her about her weight gain. They bullied her while she was in a swimsuit. They taunted her about her stretch marks. They laughed at her in gym class. They even taunted her in the locker room while she changed. Members of the jury, the bullying didn't end there. It continued. In the hallways in her math class, it got so bad, Ava stopped going to class. Her grades dropped. Where was her gym teacher? Where was her math teacher? They never helped. Even after Ava reported the bullying to her school counselor, the school did nothing to address Ava's bullying. Oh wait, there was one thing, a PA announcement, one reminder thrown in with the morning announcements of that day. How could bullying cause Ava to take her own life? We brought an expert to help make sense of it all. Dr. Billy Jones, board certified in child and adolescent psychiatry. Dr. Jones will be the only expert in psychiatry you will hear from today. With her unique expertise, Dr. Jones will tell you how bullying was a substantial factor in Ava's suicide. That's not just her opinion. Dr. Jones will explain and show you publications from the medical community linking bullying to suicide. Dr. Jones will also explain that Ava's lupus, specifically the medication she was taking, prednisone, did not lead to Ava's suicide. Dr. Jones will explain that it wasn't just the chronic harassment that Ava faced at school every day. It's what happened at prom that led to Ava's suicide, that caused Ava to step in front of a train that same night. We expect you to hear from Ava Johnson's best friend, Jamie Lee, who will bravely take the stand and detail the abuse Ava suffered at school. Jamie will go through how Ava was exiled at prom, off dancing by herself, how girls made fun of her dress, how girls laughed at her with tears in her eyes. Ava's former friends abandoned her. After making one final phone call to her mother, Ava walked out of the prom, went to the train tracks nearby, and jumped in front of an oncoming train. What you will find so frustrating is how Ava's death could have been avoided. You will hear from Blake Davis, Worcester High School's former guidance counselor. He will go through with you how Ava reported the bullying to him. In April of 2018, Ava met with Mr. Davis. She told him all about the bullying, the taunting in her gym class, the insults in the hallways, the bullying in her math class. The school had actual knowledge of what was going on. They knew her grades were dropping. They knew that Ava was missing class in order to avoid the bullies. All of the red flags were there. They did nothing. Mr. Davis will sit on that stand and tell you how Worcester High School failed Ava. He will go through the code of conduct with you and tell you how Ava's bullies violated that code, how Worcester High School didn't even comply with their own code, how Worcester High School failed Ava. Ladies and gentlemen, you will not hear a single piece of evidence to suggest that anyone at Worcester High School talked to Ava's parents. No one at the high school talked to Ava's math teacher. No one at the high school talked to her gym teacher. No one even talked to her bullies. As a result, instead of planning Ava's trip to college, her parents planned her funeral. Instead of watching Ava walk across the stage at graduation, her parents watched their daughter's body lowered into the ground. At the end of this trial, my co-counsel, Michael Shostak, will come before you and ask you to render the only verdict consistent with the law and supported by the evidence. We ask that you find Worcester High School liable in causing the wrongful death of Ava Johnson.